this week you are doing we're doing our pre-Columbian or pre-colonial America unit. And now we're moving into our art history components of the course. So a lot of our standards are based in art history. And with that, with eighth grade, we are specifically based in US, North America, North Carolina. That's what our standards are in. Sixth grade is like global, from prehistoric to what's known as the emerging global era, which is when trade routes start developing and you have people traveling from different parts of the world to other parts of the world. People groups start, interacting that didn't have contact before and all that kind of stuff. So that roughly is like the 1400s that we kind of mark as that. Um, and then seventh grade picks up where sixth grade left off, and it goes from the 1400s to present day global. Eighth grade is from prehistoric to present day USA, North Carolina, North America. Okay. So this week we're looking at pre-colonial or pre-Columbian. Those are the two terms, they're interchangeable. Pre-Columbian is in reference, of course, to Christopher Columbus. So that is before that European contact was made with America, and with the people who lived here, the indigenous people of America. We're actually going to get into indigenous peoples of America next week. That's our topic next week. So this week is pre-Columbian, pre-colonial. That's before Europeans made contact and began colonizing in the Americas. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with this week. So we're looking at the sunstone. If you've looked at your podcast this week, you have an episode on that, on the sunstone. You have a project where you're making your own sunstone inspired by the sunstone that we look at this week. And you're kind of looking at that information. So with our project, I'm going to show you some steps that you can follow, but a lot of it's open because it is individual. So you're making a sunstone, and actually, let me switch and show you in case you haven't, in case this sounds foreign and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, Miss Campbell. Let me actually share my screen real quick. So this is the actual sunstone, and you'll see this when you play the podcast episode. So who is it by? It's not by a person. So some of our older works are not by people per se. Like when we start getting into more modern things, we actually have artist names. So that's not to say people didn't do these things, but we may not have an artist name. It may have been done by like a group of people, but we have the culture or the country or the empire or something like that those works came from. So this sunstone, and you'll find out all about it when you listen to your episode this week. It is post-classic Mexica, okay, which is the Aztec Empire, and it's in modern day Mexico, okay. And that's kind of where Mexico, the name comes from. All right, so Mexica Aztec Empire. You are kind of replicating this, but in your own way. And you'll find out what a sunstone is when you listen to this episode. I'm not going to give it away. But basically, these radial sections relate to the leader that this sunstone is about. It would basically be like a biography, or a when you read a biography about like Amelia Earhart or Martin Luther King Jr., or someone like that. You read a biography about them or an autobiography about them or something like that. That's basically what this is. So what you are doing is you're creating your own sunstone, and you can do this on a paper plate. You can do it on a brown paper bag, or craft paper that you cut into a large circle. And then if you use paper that isn't circular, you actually can use like bowls and stuff, so like different bowl objects and stuff like that to create your circles to go around on that paper. Okay, so you see you're creating these circular sections. All right, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. And then I am leaving it open to you guys. You can use pencil, but I'm leaving it open to you how you add color. So you can use paint, you can use markers, you can use colored pencils. It's your choice. So I'm not, with 8th grade, there's going to be some things that I give you very detailed directions with. There will be other things I'm allowing you freedom of choice because you're 8th grade. I'm wanting you to start stepping in and developing that freedom of choice in some things where I can give you that freedom of choice. Obviously, I have standards that I have to meet, but I also want you to start making those decisions as an artist on your own right to choose a medium you're comfortable with. That's not always the case. Obviously, there's going to be some projects where we need to learn a certain skill. But with this project, you have to produce a sunstone. How you produce that and on what medium you use, that's up to you. So whether you use a paper plate or a brown paper bag, let me see, I've got an example of, oh, okay, so brown paper bag, it would give it this kind of a look, okay? So you can see it kind of has this like older kind of weathered look, all right? So that would be, if you did it on like a grocery, it's just a grocery bag that I cut out, okay? Now you know where Miss Capel does her grocery shopping if you saw that. But you can also do it just on regular paper, okay? So you can use regular paper for that. And I'm going to show you in this class today, I'm just going to show you on a regular sketchbook paper page, all right? So you'll do your circle and then you'll do some other radial designs within that. And you're going to tell your life story in the form of an Aztec sunstone, okay? So, and then of course, when you finished, you submit 2 photos. A photo of your finished sunstone, so one that looks like this, right here, and then a selfie. So you'll hold up your sunstone, okay, just like that, and you'll take a picture, a selfie of you. As far as what goes in your sunstone, you can, copy, like cut out pictures and glue them on there of your family if you want to. You can draw, like some of these have flags that are like the national flags that these students, their families come from or they are from. It's, their nation and their nationality and so forth. So you can do those things. They've got video gaming stuff, sports, religion, any of those kind of things that tell the story about who you are. That's what you're including in here. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with, I'll show you how to lay out your circles, and then what goes inside of those sections is going to be up to you. Okay, so let me switch my screen back. We are going to be doing our demo for the sunstone. Okay, so you may do it, on a brown paper bag, that's fine. I'm gonna move some stuff out of the way real quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a bowl down. So you may want to use like a ball or something that you can make a circle with. Okay, and I actually have to look at my demo camera because I can't get over it because the camera's in the way. All right, there's that. I don't know if this is gonna, it's actually bigger. Okay, sorry, I've got like a few bowls around. Move some stuff out of the way. Okay. I think that's center. Again, it's hard for me to tell. I can't like get up above it. Okay, so I'm just using some different circular objects to create my rings. All right, so you see I'm just doing some different rings. If I could, I would have one that's a little bit smaller than that, but I don't have anything shaped like that. So, and I don't want to like mess anything up. All right. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take something that's straight. So I actually have a straight edge. I have had this thing for many years. I actually had this in college. I used this in college. So it's getting a little old. You can see where it's starting to fall apart. But if you can get one of these, that just tells like how long it lasts. That I used this on many projects in college. And it is still intact. So it's great because it's got like this cork on the back. So it keeps it from, you see how it's not sliding? Like a metal ruler, it would slide if you pushed it. So that keeps it from sliding around quite as much as it normally would. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like make my lines through here, through these different sections. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to line it up. So you see, I'm just kind of rotating around and I'm making those sections. All right, so once you've done that, you can go in and start adding those different aspects of who you are, um, the story of your life, if you want to share that, through icons or some visual way. Your plan for this is up to you. So if you want to make it, a sunstone that shares the story of your life and your family, you can do that. If you want to make it more of like who you are and you share different icons or images that represent who you are as a person, you can do that as well. Um, so I'll just show you, and it doesn't have to be super detailed. You can do like, just some drawings like this, and then you can go in and add color. Um, so like Miss Capel loves camping. I love camping. I love hiking. I love, being outdoors and doing some of that kind of adventurous stuff. So for this one, I drew a tent with some stars and moon and mountains in the background. If you watched my About Me or you watched the video for next week, Miss Capel is Cherokee. I'm Eastern Band of Cherokee Indian, which is here in North Carolina. I actually have a lot of Cherokee heritage on both sides of my family, but especially on my mother's side. My grandfather looks like full-blooded Cherokee, like he's the real deal. Um, and then I have, some other heritage as well, which I'll get to in a minute. But I did the part of the seal from the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indian. So that's what I kind of had going on there. I love to travel, so I did a passport. And like you can see, these aren't like super detailed pictures. I was trying to go quick with the other class and kind of show them like this is how you are going to do this. So I love to travel. So I put a passport in there because I love traveling the world. I love seeing different cultures and art from different parts of the world and history and landscapes, like whatever it is. Like, I love seeing the world and traveling. And so I put my passport in there. Um, so the other part is on my dad's side. Um, I have some Cherokee on his side as well, but his ancestors, just a few generations ago, they came to the United States for religious freedom, and they were French Huguenot. So they came because they were being persecuted in France and they couldn't stay there. And so they came to the US. They settled predominantly in like Virginia and North Carolina on the East Coast, especially near the like coastal parts of those states. That's kind of where they moved. A lot of them moved into North Carolina, in the eastern part of North Carolina. So I put a fleur-de-lis, which is a symbol of France, but the Huguenot actually also use several fleur-de-lis combined in what they call the Huguenot cross. Um, so I put that because that's a part of Miss Capel's story. That's a part of my heritage and my family history as well, just as much as my Cherokee heritage is part of that. And then I put an island with palm tree, umbrella, sun, ocean, water, because I love going tropical places like islands like the Bahamas and, places like that. Not just the beach. Like, I love the tropical islands and stuff where the water is crystal clear and you can just see all the way to the bottom in the water. And the water has this like crazy blue color that just doesn't, like, pictures don't do it justice. It's like nothing you've ever seen. I love that kind of stuff. So with this, you're telling the story of you and the story of your life. And so you're sharing those things. So you can see I'm just sharing different aspects of me. Maybe your family more recently came from another country. So maybe you identify very strongly with that country, and maybe you do a flag that represents where your family is from. Maybe like me, you have some Native American heritage and you know the tribe that that came from, or some other indigenous group. Maybe you represent that, on here in some way as well. So there's different ways you can represent it. You have different religious views. You can represent your religious views on here as well through, symbols that are important within your religion. So there's different ways to share about who you are, what makes you you, your perspective, your history, and so forth. In some of these smaller sections, like this, and if you did like a border, you can do like some kind of a border along that too. So you can do something that's decorative that kind of separates it. If I had a circle that would, work this way, I would have done a border around this one, like on this outer edge too, just to for that emphasis and that pop and so forth. So, um, and then in the middle, there's a couple of things you can do. You can cut out a picture of yourself, of your face if you want to, and put it in the middle. Or you can do like your initials in the middle, or try, your hand at like a self portrait or something like that. If you look at the actual sunstone, there is a portrait of the ruler, and you have to go watch that or listen to that podcast to find out about that. But there's actually an image of the ruler on there that the sunstone is about. Um, so with that, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and get started. But if you don't have any questions about this process, this is mainly like the steps that you needed to see, because the rest of it you're filling with your own story. So you're not going to copy what I'm doing. You're just going to put those icons and those things that represent you and who you are, whether or the things you like to do. Maybe it's art, maybe it's video gaming, maybe it's traveling, maybe it's reading, or something. Maybe it's something I haven't named. Those things that, are very much a part of who you are. You're going to use these spaces to fill that up, to identify who you are.